Sustainable development has become a key national priority in Malaysia due to rapid economic changes, increasing environmental challenges, and growing social demand. This approach is clearly outlined in the 12th National Plan, which focuses on strengthening the economy, enhancing social protection, and improving environmental resilience. In addition, the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030 emphasizes balance and inclusive development by reducing inequality and ensuring equal opportunities for all segments of society. This national framework shows Malaysia's commitment to achieving long-term development without compromising the needs of future generations.
Moving on to the next slide, this presentation will focus on the political hurdles to sustainable development, as well as the challenges and possible solutions. Firstly, corruption constitutes one of the most critical challenges to sustainable development. Corruption undermines the principles of good governance by prioritizing personal and political interests over public welfare. Consequently, public resources intended for education, healthcare, environmental protection, and social development are frequently misallocated or inefficiently managed. In the Malaysian context, corruption has resulted in significant financial leakage, particularly through weak procurement system, inflated project costs, and poorly executed public projects. Such practices diminish government's capacity to support long-term and sustainable development initiatives. Furthermore, corruption erodes public trust in public institutions. When transparency and accountability are compromised, public confidence declines, thereby weakening cooperation among the government, the private sector, and civil society. Overall, corruption not only impedes economic growth but also worsens social inequality and environmental degradation, ultimately hindering the achievement of sustainable development. Next, one of the key solutions to addressing political hurdles in sustainable development is the strengthening of anti-corruption law. Corruption has a significant impact on sustainable development as it leads to the leakage of public funds that should otherwise be allocated to long-term projects such as green infrastructure, renewable energy, education, and social welfare. Therefore, strong anti-corruption law not only serve to punish offenders but also function as a preventive mechanism. In Malaysia, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) plays a crucial role through the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2009. However, this legislation must be further enhanced to align with modern forms of corruption, including digital corruption, online tender manipulation, and money laundering. In addition, stricter enforcement of anti-corruption law can enhance transparency in government procurement processes, ensuring that contracts are awarded based on merit rather than political connections. This in turn helps to reduce wastage, project delays, and excessive costs. To sum up, strengthening anti-corruption law can enhance institutional integrity, build public trust, and ensure that public funds genuinely support fair and inclusive sustainable development.
The second challenge is political instability and policy inconsistency. Frequent change in governance and unstable political coalition often cause shift in national priorities. Because of this, policymakers tend to focus on short-term political survival rather than long-term sustainable development goals. This instability leads to inconsistent policy, especially in key sectors such as energy and environmental management. Policy may be introduced, delayed, or even reversed when political leadership changes, which create uncertainty. In addition, weak enforcement and fragmented governance, where responsibility overlap between different ministry and agency, further reduce policy effectiveness. The issue discourage investment, delay development project, and ultimately slow down Malaysia progress towards sustainable development. To overcome these challenges, strengthening governance and the policy framework is crucial. Firstly, improving institutional capacity and coordination among government agencies can ensure policies are implemented consistently regardless of political change. Strong governance also requires transparency, accountability, and professionalism in decision making. By adopting good regulatory practice such as political monitoring and impact assessments, policy become more stable and predictable. Furthermore, making sustainability policies legally binding such as renewable energy and environmental targets can protect long-term goals from political interference. Overall, stronger governance and consistent policy frameworks help ensure that sustainable development remains a national priority rather than a short-term political agenda.
Okay, third challenge is limited public participation in Malaysia. Public participation occur after key decisions are already made. In Malaysia, participation usually takes place at later planning stage, making consultation symbolic and reducing public trust, as seen in the Gasing Hill case. Second, many citizens are unaware of how or where to participate. Low awareness of planning process and participation channel has resulted in weak involvement, such as in Shah Alam Low Carbon City project. Third, participation is dominated by urban and higher income groups. Low income and marginalized community are often excluded due to limited access to information, as shown in Iskandar, Malaysia. Next, no clear explanation of how public input is used. Authority rarely explain how feedback influence decision-making participation, feel procedural and discouraging future involvement. Lastly, strong central control limit local and community influence. Malaysia's centralized planning system restricts meaningful community input even in mandatory process like EIE. The solution is encouraging public engagement and strengthening accountability in Malaysia. First, involve community at early and multiple stage of planning. Public engagement should begin early using tools such as pre-consultation brief, advisory committee, and community workshop to allow real influence on planning outcome. Second, clearly show how public feedback influence decision. Government agencies should publish consultation outcome and explain how feedback was accessed to build transparency and public trust. Next, use digital tool to reach wider and diverse group. Digital platform like virtual town hall, online survey, and interactive maps make participation more accessible to youth, working adult, and rural community. Next, educate community to enable meaningful participation. Providing training session and simplify material help citizens better understand planning issue and participate more effectively. Lastly, involve civil society and independent body in monitoring. NGO, university, and professional association can objectively monitor planning process and strengthen accountability and trust.
The next challenge is lack of political will and leadership. The first factor is short-termism conflict. It happens when political leaders focus on short-term benefits instead of long-term sustainability. This usually occurs because politicians work within election cycles and want quick results that please voters. However, sustainable development requires long-term investment and its benefits may not appear for many years. A clear example is the Philippines, where mining and environmental policies often change within each administration. One government may promote mining for economic growth while the next may restrict it to protect the environment. These rapid shifts show how short-term political interests limit consistent sustainable policies. Secondly, economic path dependency. It means a country becomes locked into a certain type of economy, making it difficult to change even when the industry harms the environment. A good example is Saudi Arabia's dependence on oil. Oil brings major income, jobs, and government revenue, so shifting towards renewable energy is slow and can be highly costly. This dependence reduces political motivation to make long-term sustainable changes. Finally, competing national priorities also can weaken political will. Governments often must deal with urgent issues such as inflation, unemployment, or economic instability. For example, in Zimbabwe, serious inflation and economic problems forced the government to focus on stabilizing prices and securing basic goods. As a result, sustainability is pushed aside because immediate survival issues take priority. The last solution is link environmental goals with economic and social development. So one way to do this is through sustainable agriculture programs. Sustainable agriculture aims to protect soil, water, and biodiversity while improving farm productivity and incomes. This can help both the environment and rural communities, which makes it politically appealing. A good example comes from Kenya, where agroforestry and farmer training programs have been promoted. Agroforestry means integrating trees with crops and livestock. It can also help restore soil fertility, provides shade, and protects against erosion. At the same time, farmers can earn extra income from tree products such as wood or timber. Training programs also teach farmers climate-smart techniques, which improves yields and reduces vulnerability to drought. This shows how environmental goals can support economic development and rural livelihoods at the same time. Another important strategy is to invest in the energy transition. Transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable energy can reduce emissions and pollution while also creating new industries, skills, and jobs. When governments see that clean energy can strengthen the economy, they are more willing to invest in sustainable policies. A strong example is Germany's energy ban, which means energy transition. Germany has invested heavily in wind and solar power, improved energy efficiency, and phased out nuclear energy. This policy did not only aim to cut emissions, it can also support new technology sectors, create green jobs, and reduce dependence on imported fuels. As a result, sustainability becomes linked to national energy security in the
In conclusion, Malaysia's sustainable development relies on clear national direction and strong institutions. Policies such as the 12th Malaysia Plan and the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030 reflect the country's commitment to achieving economic growth, social equity, and environmental sustainability. However, this goal requires political stability and transparent governance. Challenges such as policy inconsistency and slow implementation can limit the effectiveness of long-term development effort. Therefore, strong governance framework remain essential. Overall, with consistent policies, strong institutions, and collective cooperation, Malaysia can achieve balanced and sustainable development for future generations. That's all from us. Thank you.